ready. Okay, and of course, if you haven't known by now, my name is Angit Deer. I am a real estate broker. I also buy houses, like a lot of people here. And I'm going to be your MC for tonight. So what we wanted to do here is we really wanted to get back to the community and get your questions answered. So I have 3 standard questions that I'm going to be asking them all first. And then... Oh, whoops. I'm batting 1,000 with this technology these days. Anyway. We're going to ask them 3 basic questions that all of them are going to have different answers to. And then what I'm going to ask you guys to do is to line up right over there and ask your questions. So not yet. I know everyone's ready to get up. But we're going to ask the first 3 questions to them and see what their answers are. So first one's very simple, where it's like, what was the one thing that changed your trajectory into real estate investing? It could be a memory, a situation, a person, book, or podcast. Basically, what we're asking here is what really is their why? What was the original why? And the why can change, but what really got you started? So we're going to start with Jasmine. We're going to go down the line.
Okay. So for me, the turning point that got me into real estate investing is probably when I went to Rutgers. I was in college. I started interning at a property management company. And so that was like my first taste of real estate investing. The owners of the company owned hundreds of units, actually thousands of units. Throughout the tri-state area. So seeing that and knowing that 3 people own thousands of buildings, that really inspired me. But while I was working at this company, one of the employees there would tell me, you gotta read this book, you gotta read this book. And she kept nagging me about it. And she was like, did you order that book from Amazon yet? And I'm like, no, not yet, but I will. And many of you probably actually read this book, right? So one day we were at lunch and she took me literally by the hand. I'll never forget this. This is like ingrained in my memory. Took me by the hand and she took me to a bookstore instead of going out to lunch like we usually did. Sometimes we would have a cocktail. But she bought the book for me. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read the book and I was like, you know what? I can't climb the corporate ladder, right? I don't want to climb somebody else's ladder. I would just want to start building my own ladder. And that's what got me into investing. So.
Awesome. Anybody else has read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Show of hands. We're in the right room. We're in the right room. Everyone read that book.
Okay, so my entry to investing was a little bit different. When I was 21, I started a cleaning company. So I was in other people's houses and kind of witnessing what they were doing. And that was when I knew I couldn't work for other people. So flash forward a few years, I started hearing about what wholesaling was. And I got really into it. I read every book I could find. I watched every YouTube video I could find. And then I started driving for dollars and just harassing every homeowner that I could get my hands on. So once it took me like maybe 6 weeks to get my first deal. And my first check was $5,000. And that completely changed everything for me, getting the proof of concept. That was 3 years ago. And shortly after that, I transitioned into flipping. We still sell properties, but that's kind of how I got started in investing.
For me, it was COVID. Before COVID, I had a W-2 job, and then when COVID happened, I lost my job. And at that point, I either had to get another job or go into buying houses full-time, and I went into buying houses full-time. And so was COVID.
So I started, I stumbled into the mortgage industry when I was 21 years old. I was actually in operations, so one of my jobs is to review mortgage applications, and I noticed a theme. Wealthy people own businesses and real estate. And it took a few years of doing mortgages and working with clients, but I realized that if I wanted to build wealth for my family, I needed to buy real estate, and that's how it started for me.
So for me, a little bit different than everyone else. It was like, I was working in corporate and I was seeing these huge assets from an accounting and finance perspective. And just like I was managing leases and working with some buildings, just looking at stuff. And I'm looking at the numbers that these things were peeling off. And all of a sudden I'm just like looking at numbers all day, being an accountant, financial analyst. It was like, wow, this is real life. This is actually happening. Other people have assets that are just peeling off this money. They're playing real life Monopoly. And I was in my late 20s. that kind of just triggered me to start just going and just reading YouTube, ebooks, whatever podcast, whatever I could listen to. Started with Section 8, then did Airbnbs, did tax liens, did a couple flips, and it was just snowballing all over the place. Couldn't really figure out my path, and then it was just circling back to where I kind of began with like looking at those huge assets, running those huge numbers to see those returns. It's just learning that economy of scale and finding your lane in real estate. It can take a while, but just think about like everybody up here all has a different lane, and just find the lane that you want to do, but you can make a lot of money and you can build a lot of wealth in this. Just pick which lane and go on that lane really hard.
Nice. Now we're going to start the reverse order because we have a long enough cord. You know, it's always great to have a long enough cord. And we're going to start with the second question. But what I would like to also do to add some context, if you guys want to share where you started and where you are right now, because I think that brings context to people. I mean, I know a lot of you guys have had some meteoric. They say that the overnight success is built out. It takes years to be overnight success. I'm sorry, I butchered that a little bit, but let's get right into the next question. If you want to share where you started and where you are to give people perspective, what is the best piece of advice you got from somebody, and what is the best piece of advice you'd like to give to somebody else? So let's start with Nick, and we'll work our way down.
So one of the best pieces of advice that I got in real estate is, again, but this is just as certain class specific, but it's people that are looking to buy cash flow, you buy the cash flow that it's putting off right now. Don't look at anything else that you're going to do. Like if you want to buy cash flow, buy the cash flow that it's producing when you buy it. Don't think about, hey, I can make it do this much more. Don't even look at your pro forma. Like think simple, and that's what, coming from a person who, I mean, my wife and I live on spreadsheets. We build these ridiculous complicated models, and we love doing it. But that's all the what ifs. Think simple, and this is from a guy who has $500 million worth of real estate. He's just, hey, look at something, buy the cash flow now if you want cash flow. That's just the simplest way to put it. And if you peel all these fluff things back, that is really what you have to look at it as. Just what are you paying for and what is it going to give me right now without me doing anything? That piece of advice over the last year or so, and like I've already been doing this for 7 years now, it's like bringing you back to the fundamentals. It really just makes sense. So just when you're looking at stuff and you're trying to buy cash flow, just think about that. Like, what is it making me day one when I buy?
What was the first part of that question?
The question is, what is the best piece of advice you got from someone, and what's the best piece of advice you would like to give to somebody else?
Okay. The best piece of advice I got from multiple people was I'm going to say two things. Be open-minded when you're learning. Always be willing to learn and be open to new things and other people that are smarter than you. And honestly, live below your means. I've seen a lot of people in the mortgage and real estate industry and real estate investing industry get caught with their pants down, and it's not great. So I started with good mentorship with good people around me, and living below my means has been able to allow me to buy and hold on to what I've been able to purchase, which honestly is going to pay tremendous dividends when I'm older. The best piece of advice I have for everybody here is to surround yourself with the right people. Everyone has people for themselves, right? Depending on what your goals. Another thing is start with the end in mind, what you want out of real estate, the reason why you're doing it, and then get around people that genuinely want to help you, and I guess that's it.
The best piece of advice I got was to take action, and the best piece of advice that I could give is to just take action. Most people think too much and act too little, so just try to err in the other way.
The best piece of advice I've gotten actually came from Steve, and it's that we're not in the houses business, we're in the numbers business. And that kind of changed everything when I gained that mindset, because I spent a lot of time looking at houses and the square footage and how to do spackle and all these things that surely matter and they're part of what we do. However, none of that is really going to mean anything if you don't get the numbers right. I mean, it might mean something, but it might also mean something really horrible, like losing a ton of money. So that's the best piece of advice I got. And the best piece of advice I would give is to just be relentless. When you start, just mess up 100 times, just keep going, and you'll stick it and you'll land.
Great advice.
So the best piece of advice I got, and I'm finally starting to implement it, is you can't really do it all yourself. You're not a jack of all trades. You need to surround yourself with good people who can do whatever they do, and they should be the best at what they do, right? So get the best attorney for whatever problem you need to solve, get the best agent for whatever location you're looking to buy in, etc. So I would say that's probably the best piece of advice I got. And the best piece of advice to give is if you're planning on scaling your investment business or any business at all, hire the right people. You know, unfortunately, some people have to also be fired if they either if you outgrow them or if they're just not up to par. So.
So Grace, pieces of advice already. Get the mic, please. You don't want to do it a third time. And also, I think we can all relate to the saying, "Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait." I think Anthony, you could definitely attest to that with your properties. You can go into that when you go on to answer the next question. But like, especially if people are in the single family holds section, you just buy real estate and wait. You know, and next thing you know, especially in the last 5 years, post-COVID, you know, with all that appreciation, if you're just having your tenants pay your debt service and you're sitting on it, you're appreciating like a lot, and you can also use that income for further deals. So great pieces of advice. The last question I have scripted for tonight, and then I want to hear from all of you guys. So if you want to start now, if you have a pressing question you want to ask people that all have done over $5 million in the local area, start the line right by that chair over there, and we'll get questions from the crowd. So the last piece of advice that I want to know is, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned on any one of your deals? Pick one deal, maybe one of those deals that turned and changed it for you, maybe a story that you would like to share with the crowd, a learning moment. And we're going to start with our title sponsor, Mr. Okay, maybe not.
It's time to think.
All right, who has a story that they would really like to share with the crowd? Like right now, it's pressing to them.
I don't have a story, but I'll start.
You want to start? Yeah, okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I could go all day, as you know.
So with what we do, I wouldn't say that there's been one specific house that taught a big lesson. What I would say is that every single house has taught a different lesson. There's not really two deals that are alike. You'll run into a different problem, whether it be a title issue, which I'm sure Nick could tell you far more about than me. We run into our fair share, especially in trend deals. The title can really, really mess things up for you. But yeah, just staying consistent in the deals and learning through every deal, whether it's a negative or a positive. And yeah.
So I feel the same too. It's not one specific deal. How I looked at the question was, in general, something I've learned was when you buy or sell, you should always buy or sell houses with your end goal in mind, right? It's really easy to get the shiny object syndrome in this business, where you get all these deals, which I get like flooded with deals in my inbox all the time. People are texting me deals, emailing me deals, and it's really easy to just lose your path and just start spreading yourself too thin. So once again, buy and sell with the end goal in mind, right? So if you have a portfolio that's just too spread out, or across a couple of states, maybe you might want to think about kind of focusing on a certain area, right? Especially because I know I got into investing because I wanted to spend more time with my family, and it got to a point where I wasn't spending more time with my family because I was like a slave to the business, and I was just buying and doing all these other new ventures and crazy things. And so I had to like kind of take a look and sit down, look at everything and be like, okay, I need to sell this off. I need to start focusing more when I buy or sell. So just keep the end goal in mind, that's all.
The most valuable lesson I learned is don't start thinking you're smart, and don't start getting cocky, because the more houses I buy, the less I know what's going on, honestly. I'll buy a house and I think it's going to go great, and then it goes horribly. And then I'll buy I buy one that I think is not going to go well, and then it goes great. So just don't think that you know anything.
That's good. Like Old Bird Tavern, that's what comes to mind.
That's relatable.
I think what you said before about kind of taking everything that happens, good or bad, and like making it a learning lesson. I've recently encountered some problems. I had to pay a tenant to leave one of my properties on Saturday, which wasn't fun, but it was kind of a lesser of two evils. Kind of annoying, but it's part of the rental game. I also think, for me, and other people on the panel today have said this, but having people help you. One thing that I think I'm lacking is management, right? So my wife and I own our portfolio together. We're talking about working on finding a manager to kind of offload those tasks. Another really important thing that I've also learned is that depending on like what kind of aspect you're investing in real estate in, like wholesaling, flipping, like that's active income. But if you want to buy and own real estate, whether it's syndications or long-term holds or single-family properties, whatever, Airbnbs, you need some sort of vessel of income to fund those things. Many people that like I've talked to, they just like they think they could buy 5 rental properties and like live on it. You can't. Expenses come up, tenants don't pay, things happen, and frankly, like you have to go in with the mindset that you're feeding. You need something to feed that engine, whether it's flipping, wholesaling, whatever. That's it.
I would say the one I really want to put out, the thing that stood out for me on one of my larger deals was it's pick your partners very strategically and make sure you have really good operating agreements, because you have to make sure that there is ways out for people if you want, but there's also set boundaries of what people are going to be doing for those entities. And I mean, it changes completely from every aspect of real estate, but that's probably one of the biggest takeaways that I had on first jumping into larger deals was kind of getting taken advantage of being a workhorse. And that is something like we left too much gray in the operating agreement. Now that I know not to do that, that's something that you can definitely pick up on. Joking about Trenton title issues, I have found 3 new, I didn't even know there was imaginary title issues that came up this year in Trenton, which I don't know if you ever had this, where if you foreclose on a property that the previous owner had vacancies, penalties for not taking care of the property from 15 years ago, they tried to push that on us, and we had to actually fight it with lawyers this year to reset the precedent in Trenton to be like, if we foreclose on somebody, we do not have to pay their vacancy taxes for not taking care of their property. So that was, and Trenton makes its own rules. It's kind of great.
Very unique.
Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, like, overall, just that's my big takeaway is just partners.
Absolutely, great stuff. Do we have any questions from the crowd? Anybody raise their hand? I have plenty of them, so if anybody wants to. All right, so I'm just going to get to have the crowd get to know you guys better. Not all of you have niches, but I feel like most of you guys do have niches that you focus on. Why don't you tell the crowd a little bit more about your specific niche and what you're trying to do today? We heard of how you started, but what are you guys doing right now that you're excited about and would love to share with the group?
That's a good question.
So as I did state earlier, it's like I kind of went all over. It was exactly what Jasmine was talking about, shiny object syndrome. It's like, holy crap, learned about all this different real estate stuff. Let me just start buying everything. And I will say, like, didn't lose on anything, but when you start to focus down on one lane, like I was talking about earlier, we're repositioning our whole portfolio where we've sold over $1 million worth of assets in the last 6 months, probably, and another $1 million coming soon. It's just to move everything now into where we're focusing, which is commercial triple net retail centers. And we wanted to go down that path kind of as a culmination of everything from our past experiences working in corporate and seeing how those assets work, doing the lease ups and doing asset management on other different asset classes like multifamily and strip centers. My wife and I came to that culmination in the last 2 years. We've been all in on that, where we haven't made a lot of individual transactions the last 2 years other than just repositioning our portfolio. So right now we're 1031ing everything else that we can now into our larger scale deals to stay laser focused on, instead of having 15 different single family that are all different types of rental classes, it's focusing more just on now retail strip centers, either through joint ventures, syndications, and we're just buying them ourselves. So that's where we laser focused in on now. It took us, we were 97 deals on full underwriting, so that's probably 30 of them were under contract that we dropped out of in 2 years before we actually got one to where we were ready to bring it across the finish line. So it's just stay on it, like everyone was talking about earlier. Keep hammering, just stay relentless on it in that lane that you want to be laser focused on, and you can make things happen that you'd never even imagined. Like, would I ever imagine at 37 years old I'd be going into this year looking at purchasing over $25 million worth of real estate? Absolutely not. But I'm telling you, it is absolutely possible. There is no limit that, like, there is absolutely no limit that you have unless you put it on yourself. So just think about it from that perspective. Like, what's holding you back is most likely yourself.
What Nick said. So like Nick and I have very different like lanes, if you will. I started buying single family houses. I bought my first house to live in when I was, I don't know, 20 years old. It was like 11, 12 years ago. I didn't buy any real estate for 5 years. I was working in the mortgage industry, kind of just like making money, W-2 job, and I realized that at some point what I was doing wasn't going to be enough to like build a sustainable retirement. So I figured out that I need to buy real estate, and then I started buying single family houses. I have 13 single family houses that I own 100% of. I have no partners on, all in Ocean County. Cash flow is thankfully awesome. I'm always looking to buy more, but honestly I haven't bought more. And one thing that I've realized is like knowing what your end goal is, right? I said that before. It doesn't take much. Like if you have 4 or 5 single family houses and you get them paid off, that's like a pretty good nest egg, right? So I think, again, kind of like back to what some of us have said before, knowing what you want and getting clear on that is going to be really helpful in figuring out what like it's going to help you get to where you want to be. You know, like you don't need 100 houses. Yeah, that's cool, but if you make $100 a door on every house, that's like not worth it. I mean, but if you have 10 houses and you make $1,000 a door, it's like the same thing. So the other thing, that's it. That's all I have.
We have other questions, don't worry.
My niche is buying and selling single family houses. At one point, I owned 100 single family rentals in New Jersey, and I pretty much sold all of them. I don't like rentals anymore, so now I only buy and sell single family houses, both to owner occupants and to investors.
Same thing.
So I currently own a couple of Airbnbs out of state. I have rentals. I do flips. I've been a part of hundreds of real estate deals, and now I'm starting to focus, and I am offloading some parts of my portfolio that don't serve my end goal now, and I'm going to be focusing more on multifamily, larger buildings, 5+ units, that kind of thing. So.
Awesome. And if nobody else has any other questions, I'm going to keep going through another. Okay, got a question up here.
Yeah, I have a question. One skill you can master.
Can you repeat it?
Can you repeat when you come up here? Why don't you come up here, man? There's no one bites here, so I know. Say your name and what's your question.
My name is Assad. I just wanted to ask them, what's one skill you need to master as a real estate investor?
Great question. I'll answer first and say emotional intelligence is definitely one that you're going to have if you want to survive long term in this game. You can't get too attached to any of these houses. There are just, at the end of the day, houses, and real life is more important.
Analyzing deals.
Having grit, because everyone's going to tell you no before you say, here are yes.
getting used to failing.
Getting obsessed with what your goal is and achieving.
Well, I'm the person who analyzes all the deals, so I wasn't going to say that, but I would say it's just you have to understand some form of construction, even at a basic level, regardless of what asset class you're in. Because you looking to know a deal, most of the time you're not going to have time to just always call a GC. And I don't know many people that have GC friends that just show up and don't want to charge you ever. So it's learn some kind of base construction to go with analysis, and you'll be.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time. The emotional intelligence and self-awareness needed for this profession is can be humbling at times. I thought when I first got into real estate investing that I could just become handy. After not touching a tool for about 24 years, the first 24 years of my life, I was like, yeah, I could do this. I could demo houses. And the other guys on the crew, I mean, I was there, I was learning from them, and they were like, hey, buddy, you should stick to selling these things. You shouldn't be touching any hammers or any paintbrushes. It took me 3 hours to get the paint exactly right on one of the stairs that the buyer would never see in the first place. But I knew from that moment that I'm not cut out for this, and I'm much better at selling these things and making them better. But that was a humbling experience after I spent almost $1,000 at Home Depot getting all the tools that I thought I needed to become this upstart contractor. And then within a couple months, most of my tools were either not used or stolen. So I know what I'm good at, and it's selling. It's not constructing things. I can destroy things. And a lot of us can destroy things, but you also have to destroy things the right way, which is you find out the hard way. But going into, I believe, like one of our last questions is, I think, a good full circle moment. What does successfully look to you? Like, what does it look like to you? And when do you know it's going to be enough? When do you have, like, what is your goal to be like, this is enough? This is when I can say I did it, and I'm happy if I never buy another real estate investment again. What does that moment look like for you? So, Jasmine, I'll let you go first.
Sure. So for me, it looks like spending time with my family, which I mentioned earlier. Being able to travel, not having to feel like I'm a slave to my business, honestly. You know, I would like to put together systems where things can run themselves. You know, I don't need to be called for every little problem that happens, you know, and there's somebody that can address that, or a property manager or something like that. So yeah, that's what it looks like to me. And I don't know if I'll ever feel like I have enough. I guess I'm very guilty of, you know, obtaining a goal and then not feeling like it's enough, and I just keep going and going. But yeah, I mean, maybe one day when I retire, I don't know.
Yeah, it's still very young.
Similar to what Jasmine said, I think it's just the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and not have to be guilty about it. But again, similar to Jasmine, I don't know that I'll ever be satisfied. I think that I'll continue to always increase my goals, or at least redirect them, whether it's teaching my kids how to invest or whatever it may be.
That's a good one, kids.
Success to me is just making enough money to support my family and being left alone.
Yeah.
I think contentment is a really hard thing for me, and I think it is for a lot of people. It's almost, I think having balance is really important, and being honest with yourself. I think for me, like, I don't really ever have a goal to, like, quote unquote retire, but like doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, I think is the goal. So there might be seasons where, like, I'm not buying much, I'm not doing much, but there might be other seasons where I want to start flipping houses and I want to get back into it a little bit more than I am right now. So I think it really just depends, and it starts with being honest with yourself.
So a little bit different, coming from the over-analytical psycho household of where we have everything calculated. Yeah, like we have it dialed into a point of a dollar amount. Yeah, we're like sitting there, we're like, all right, we want, it's $100K a month of passive income, and then it's, all right, we have a house on the mountain in Colorado, we have our house here, and after that point, doesn't matter what the size of the portfolio is, then you shift over to, congratulations, you're now a debt fund, because that's where all the bigger real estate nerds end up at. The life cycle is, oh, hey, I do all these big deals. Hey, I'm getting tired of it. All right, I know how to do the deals, so I'm just going to now lend money because I know how to do all the underwriting and all of that. But you're still going to learn more and more because everyone's going to be bringing you new deals. But I just look at that as like running a debt fund or giving hard money loans or whatever. It's like, that's kind of where I figured my end game of stopping the actual investment standpoint.
Right. All right. I want to point out that both the ladies said they would never be satisfied, so and everyone else said they had a goal. So let's do all the men out there. Stop trying. Anyway, I would like to just, unless anybody has any other questions, I'd like to wrap this up with one last message. Matthew, Victoria, it seems like you have a question. Why don't you come up here and ask it?
So, well, the next thing is I'm close enough. So when you're buying a single-family property or a rental property, what are you looking for as far as rent roll goes on a debt service number? Like, is it okay to have a small number now because you know rates will go down and refinance it, or that it's going to appreciate? What is it that you guys look for that's acceptable for right now?
For right now, Anthony, you're the single family guy, so maybe you want to answer that first?
Or a
Cash.
whole, so it could be a one.
So like cash flow?
Yeah, like rent roll, cash.
I mean, above debt service?
Are you looking? Do you want to hit like a 1.25 or a 1.5, or are you okay with?
I don't look at it, honestly, don't look at it that way. I look at return on capital, how much I'm putting in the deal and how much I'm going to make on that, right? So I think it depends on the asset, where it is. If it's in an area that I think is going to appreciate, if it's under market, I'll take low cash flow or break even because I know in 2 or 3 years I can hold it for a couple of years, sell it, and pay long-term capital gains or exchange it into something else. I really think it depends on the deal. Like if you have an opportunity to buy something that's worth buying, you can find a way to make it work. If it's a buy and hold, I definitely want to be closer to $1,000 a month at this point in like spread between what the mortgage costs and what the rent is, because there's management, there's capex, there's repairs, there's vacancy, which is honestly hard to find in this area. But that's kind of what I look at.
Anybody answers? All right. I was answers to that. Okay. Just want to point out a common theme here. All of these people up here are successful, but they started at a point. And they all said they need to surround themselves with the best people. If you take a look around you right now, we already have some of the best people here. So before we break up today, look around you. Your next partner might be right next to you. The next person that you need. We have tons of real estate agents, mortgage people, financing, whether it's traditional or out of the box thinking. And we have a lot of other people that can just provide wisdom from all the things they've been doing. Even if you don't have real estate as your number one focus. A lot of people, especially a lot of business owners, they cash out in real estate. They own, like Nick, you own like a laundromat service to service machine, like.
Because we were talking about how you fund shit.
Exactly.
Like you have to have other businesses that
Exactly.
feed the beast. Yeah.
So if you think that it is possible, but it's very tough for you to go in with your only source of income being real estate, it's going to be a very tough road unless
I
you
think all of
have
us have
already a big business of selling and
different
buying
streams,
homes or have a lot of connections with that. So there's people here from many different walks of life. But the one common theme here is that we all believe in real estate. We all believe there's something to be learned, and there's also something to be earned by being in these rooms. So take advantage of this room. We're going to have this room again next month in the second week of August. And that date is, I planned really well for this. Anyone want to take their calendars out? Actually, you can put it in your calendar now. So everyone can take out their phones. The 14th?
Second Thursday. Is it second Thursday? Okay.
Second Thursday of the month, August 14th. We will announce who is going to be the guest speaking. We may do another panel. If you love the panel, which I feel like a lot of us did, love the panel, hearing so many different perspectives, make sure you sign in and you email us and tell us what you loved, what you didn't like. I want to hear both. I can take it. I've been in real estate for over 10 years. Trust me, I've heard it all. So don't be afraid to tell me your criticism. But of course, share with me what you guys really enjoyed about today. And if you have any questions for the panelists, they're going to be sticking around. And also, all their contact information will be on the sheet that you get if you signed in. So if you didn't sign in, you're not going to get all this great information, and you're not going to also get our future deals that we're going to be setting up. And we also may have another event in the works as well. So all those updates are on our social media, they're on our email blast, and you will get everything if you sign it. All right, guys, well, I want to appreciate you all. Give yourself a round of applause for showing up tonight. One more shout out to Annie Mack for being our title sponsor, Nick Vasili for sponsoring the photography and everything done. If anyone wants a recording of today, reach out to us. We'll make sure that's available to you guys. Keith is an amazing photographer and videographer. If you have any videography needs, if you've seen Jasmine's great content on social media, that's this guy. So if you want great content, reach out to Keith. Hymason Promos, also another great contact. If you want any branded attire, talk to Bart at Henderson Promos. He'll make sure he makes you a store for that. We're going to showcase more of that next month. But if you guys have any questions, reach out to any one of us. But just have a great night. Thank you all for coming. Any questions, just come up and ask them. Thank you.
Yep.